What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome back to another video. Today's an interesting topic that I'm going to be bringing you guys. This comes from a recent article coming from The Score talking about Paul Maurice's comments about Blake Wheeler throughout the first 10 games and his criticism towards his defensive play and his overall effort defensively as a player. And we all know how good Blake Wheeler is offensively, but I've been a heavy critic of his game recently, and it's very interesting to read this article because it kind of shows that Paul Maurice really doesn't understand what the criticism of Blake Wheeler is, and it's just twisting it and making it sound like we're attacking a guy that has all these great points and is a great leader and all this. But we're going to read this article, and then I'm going to explain my thoughts and my opinion on Blake Wheeler's start to the season, and it kind of differs from where Paul Maurice is attacking some reporters that have criticized his game so far this season. Let's jump into the article. Winnipeg Jets head coach Paul Maurice is scratching his head at recent criticisms of Blake Wheeler. Maurice spoke candidly to reporters Wednesday regarding recent jabs at Winnipeg's captain, who has been on the ice for more 5-on-5 goals against any other Jets skater this season. Wheeler has been out for 3 Winnipeg goals at 5-on-5 and 14 goals against through 10 games. That's horrible. And some reporters called out the 34-year-old for his lackadaisical effort on the goals scored by Matthew Tkachuk in Tuesday's game against the Calgary Flames. I talked about that in my game review. The goal that you were beaking him on Tuesday night, he got put into a real tough spot by his horseshit backchecking by somebody else. And that is true. That is true. There was horrible defensive play all around on that goal. Nonetheless, Wheeler should have done a better effort blocking the lane and taking Matthew Tkachuk to the net. He just left him open, and it was just an easy goal, tap and goal for him. I'm sensitive to it because I've been in awe of this guy since I got here. His work ethic is impeccable, and his character and how he runs the room and how he plays, he's got fucking 11 points in 10 games. Maurice adds that while he doesn't have an issue with the criticism, he doesn't expect criticism to be accurate. I just like you to be right about it, Maurice said. You'll do your deep dives and your analytics, and God, you do a horseshit job of telling you what five guys do. He continued, so I'm so much productive of Blake Wheeler, I'm more protective of the Winnipeg Jets. You get a guy in your town that plays as hard and is such a fine leader and a fine man, let's be real careful. Blah, 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 goes on nonetheless to talk about him. But what the problem is with this article, and what the problem is with Paul Maurice right now, with his criticism towards reporters and to other people in the league, nonetheless, is due to the fact that he really doesn't understand fully that Blake Wheeler has been awful defensively. Offensively, yes, he's got 11 points in 10 games. Has a lot of that come off the power play? Yes. Has he looked good in 5-on-5? No. It doesn't matter what you think of Blake Wheeler's game. He may be trying his best, maybe going after him about lackadaisical effort. Maybe that's true. Maybe critiquing the guy for not putting in effort is different than from what Maurice is getting at. But my big problem with this, and my big takeaway from this, is that Paul Maurice doesn't understand that we're not critiquing Blake Wheeler because he's not putting in effort. We're critiquing Blake Wheeler because it looks like he's gassed. At least that's what I'm doing, and a lot of people that I see critique his game publicly say as well. Blake Wheeler is still Blake Wheeler offensively so far to start the season, but defensively, he's not even close to the same player he's been in the past few seasons, and even then, he wasn't this all-star, amazing two-way guy that played a great defensive role in his own end. He's never been that player. Yeah, he's been decent, but he's not going to be the guy, that same type of guy every year. You know, he's getting up there in age, and while I look at what his play has been, he has just been lackadaisical defensively in so many different areas. He's been slow on the forecheck and slow on the rush. He slows down his line mates drastically, and that's a reason why Kopp got bumped up to that first line, because Kopp can keep up with the speed of Connor, Scheifele, and Ehlers. When you look at what Wheeler does when he's playing with those guys, he just slows them down. You watch it on the power play, especially when they try to move the puck through Wheeler through neutral's ice. Almost every time he does it, he has to dump and chase because he gets too much pressure, or he turns it over and it becomes an on-run rush going the other way. When you look at what Mark Scheifele has to do, Mark Scheifele has to kind of wait and have a perfect opportunity to make a dump and play, because he needs to have Blake Wheeler behind that net in his role on the power play to get the puck and start to set it up. Every time Blake Wheeler's on the ice, he slows down the play. Now, that is not exactly a bad thing all the time, but for a majority of the time when you're trying to play a high-tempo, octane game of hockey, especially with a young core, with a speedy core that the Jets have, that's going to impede your results game in and night in and night out, especially when it comes to the fact that when you look, although plus-minus being, in my opinion, a dead stat, it has something to say that if you're on the ice for 14 goals against in 10 games, that says a lot more than just your, bad luck to pop on their plus minus, or, different bad coverage defensively. That's a problem there. 14 goals against in 10 games that's not Wheeler's fault by any means. He's not the goaltender. He's not carrying a defensive core. But when you're on the ice for 14 goals in 10 games and you're not playing good defense throughout the entire game and it's obvious, that's going to be a reason why you're on that much. Like, it's not, I don't understand why Maurice is attacking him. Like, it's obvious that he is not the same player he was, and that's okay. No one expects Wheeler to be the best the same guy he was. We just expect Wheeler to be the best that Wheeler can be right now, and that's what he's bringing to the lineup. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean giving him top line minutes anymore, but using him in a situation where he is beneficial to the team in the long run. And in my opinion, he is beneficial to the team in the long run on the power play, on the third line potentially, and in a decreased role within that top six. Not because he's bad offensively or because his skills aren't there, because of his speed and his conditioning. It's just getting up there with age. You can't expect that guy to go out there and play 25 minutes a game anymore when he's 34 years old, and you expect him to do so much. It's not smart by coaching at all to do that, and it shows when they try to work him so much. And now he's had, the way he started the season with his speed. Overall, I just think that this article and this, comments by Maurice are kind of unjustified in a way at the reporters, because although maybe being, criticizing his work ethic and all this type of stuff in his character, I can understand that, because a lot of that shit I don't believe either. There's been so much stuff coming out about it, that doesn't really matter anymore. But when we look at what specifically we're talking about here in this instant is Blake Wheeler's play on the ice, and the reason why he's been on the ice for 14 goals against in 10 games has to do with the one simple fact that he's not playing good two-way hockey at all. Neither is Mark Scheifele, and neither are a lot of other players in that top six nonetheless, but he especially isn't playing good hockey when it comes to defensively. And I think it's okay to criticize the captain and to criticize a guy who you put so much faith in, who can't play defense and is having a really hard time keeping up with speed and whatnot. Hopefully he'll be able to get back into this as the season goes on. That could totally happen, but I do think these comments are kind of unjustified by Maurice, because he is not playing good hockey defensively. There's a reason why he's been on for 14 of that's 10, and it's not just bad luck, bad positioning, and everyone else screwing up and Wheeler getting a pass. He says when it comes down to the Tkachuk goal, he had to get a really tough spot. He was put in by horseshit, backchecking, and all this stuff that he's saying. Yeah, that's one goal, but you're going to say all 14 were not Wheeler's fault? Because there were a lot of goals that were Wheeler's fault. A lot of goals where he wasn't putting in enough effort. A lot of goals where overall that top line just wasn't playing defense when he was on that top line. If that's going to be the type of comments you have towards your captain who's not playing good hockey, it just kind of shows the fact that Wheeler has the locker room by the neck that he does. And I know there's rumors all about that, but how could it not? Like, there's so many flaws in his game when you look at past the fact that he's got 11 points in 10 games. I just don't agree with it. I don't like that, and I just wish that that wouldn't be the case with Maurice right now. I wish that Maurice would criticize and agree with the fact that, yeah, Wheeler needs to play better hockey or whatever he needs to do, but not just, shut down and critique every reporter and every analyst that's looking at Wheeler's play and watching the games. All you have to do is watch the games to know Wheeler isn't playing great two-way hockey, and there's a reason why he's got 14 of the last 14 goals against on 10 games. There's a reason why for all of that, and it's because he's not playing good two-way hockey. If you watch the games, you know that, and it's not fair for Maurice to come out and just say all this stuff about, he's playing great hockey, it's bad lucks and all this, and making excuses for the captain who's not playing the best hockey that he could be playing at this time in the season, in my opinion. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below on this matter, how your thoughts are on Maurice, what your thoughts are on with Wheeler, his effort, and all this stuff down in the comment section below. As always, let me know all your thoughts down there, guys. I love to read them and hear your guys' opinions. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new to the channel, regardless of the team you root for, definitely consider dropping a subscription down below. And with all that jazz, and turning on notifications as well, and also going down to the description and hitting the Twitter link and giving me a follow on Twitter if you want to stay up to date with all my opinions on line changes and little things that happen day to day that I wouldn't have time to make a video on. Peace, love, and positivity, everybody. I will see you in the next video. Go Jets, go.